Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Spell Singer, and this is the beginning of a new series of Gamebook reviews, the Threshold Trilogy. And in this review, I'm going to give you a quick look at this title with its book number, then I'll read the blurb, we'll take a look at the plot, I'll go through the game mechanics and the adventure sheet, and then I'll go through the artwork, which I'll run through this video as normal, and then go through some of my own likes and dislikes, some fun facts, and we'll finish on a summary and a score out of 10. So, this is book 1, the 13th Vessel, and this came out in 2026, so recent publication by author Sean Cooper. Now, the cover artist here that you can see is Oscar Smethurst. I think I pronounced that right. It might be Smethurst. But all the internal stuff, all the internal illustrations are by Leigh Chalker, so you'll get to see those as this video goes on. Right, let me read the blurb to you. So, it says here, "The time is now. The world is as we know it, mostly. The difference is that you and your colleagues know something that most people don't, that our universe is under constant threat from indescribable horrors in another dimension. These unknown terrors are malevolent and powerful, and determined to transform our world into a gruesome hellscape. In this gamebook, you are assigned to investigate an unspeakable crime, one that might signal the end of the world. You are the only hope for the future of humanity. Choose wisely." Yeah, so out of the blue, I got an email from Sean Cooper, and I think we got chatting on the comments of one of my older videos, and he said, if I send you the book, would you review it? So yeah, of course. I jumped at the chance, and it arrived, and I was quite surprised. I mean, it's a big old lengthy book, it's a bit of a beast, so I was quite intrigued to get stuck into it. But so thank you, Mr. Cooper, for sending that to me, and so this is going to be my review. So the plot for this one. The 13th Vessel. It's an interactive horror kind of mystery game book, and it's the first volume, like I mentioned, of this trilogy, a planned trilogy where you investigate this unspeakable crime that kind of threatens the world. You have to take on the role as investigator, so you're like the final hope to solve this bizarre world-ending crime that's occurred. And the book begins with your call to arms, as it were, and you get a brief description of the bizarre events that are unfolding at Greystone Penitentiary, and you get like a 24-hour time limit, and it's all thrust upon you in the first couple of references, so it gets off to an absolute flying start. A body has been discovered, essentially, under highly mysterious circumstances, and it's basically your role to investigate the crime scene. You gotta interrogate the inmates that may have had something to do with the victim, and then you report back your findings. You will be required to visit a variety of different locations around this city, search for clues and answers, and try and obtain some artifacts that may or may not be of help to your investigation, and then pull together with your chosen partner to confront the suspects, whoever they may be. So that's the plot. It's quite intriguing, and like I said, once I've read that blurb, I kind of want to just dive into it. It's kind of got that pull and desire to find out what on earth is going on in this game book. Now, the game mechanics and adventure sheet for this book. So the game mechanics is quite streamlined, actually. There are no dice in this game book. You may need a pencil and a paper, maybe, to record any clues, make any notes, or if you want to map this book, you can do that, map the route. Otherwise, that's it. This kind of harks back to these recent modern approach to game books, similar to Victoria Hancock's and the Cluster of Echoes. I'll get round to reviewing that hexology one day, whereby you don't really Oh, that's this, by the way. Yeah, look out for that. Good series. So yeah, it's just you, your wits and your knowledge. It's a pure race against time, and it's down to you to kind of explore this world and deduce and make those important decisions. So no dice rolling and no combat as such. The combat is done in a slightly different way. No dice related combat, let's say that. So yeah, the only real mechanic used to plot the path and allow the writer to recognise how far and how well you are progressing is by the use of code words. So that's nothing new, we've had code words before, but they're used quite well here. It's an excellent tool to ensure that you're on the right path and have all the necessary clues to win. So this game book also comes equipped with a soundtrack. So another cool addition that modern game books seem to have adopted, a bit like Graham Plowman's House on Sentinel Hill, which I'll also review at some point. Just got to get round to it. So yeah, Cooper here has some specially curated music to accompany the reading experience. And when I think you're giving like a QR code at the beginning, so yeah, you can scan the QR code and stream the listening companion for free. So in the description I'll put a link to this, so if you're interested in what this listening companion is like, then check out the comments for the link. You can kind of imagine yourself by the fire with your pipe and your slippers, and you kick back and listen to this listening companion while you're reading the 13th Vessel. So yeah, this listening companion is a playlist made by Sean Cooper, himself. He composed it under the project name. And it's yet another way to sort of fully immerse yourself into this world of terror that Mr. Cooper has conjured up. The gamebook also boasts another tried and tested mechanic, which is the hub system, whereby you will arrive at a fixed point which kind of branches out, but inevitably returns to that fixed point for more options. And this happens a couple of times, most noticeably at the Greystone Penitentiary, where you kind of kick off your investigation and you're offered a range of inmates to kind of interrogate and interview and staff to question. And when you're finished with each one, you'll be rewarded with a code word, and you receive 6 of those code words. And then when you get back to the hub, you can progress. So yeah, it's a neat little trick, a good little mechanic, tried and tested, and it works perfectly well in this game book too. Perfect. Now, the adventure sheet, the thing about the adventure sheet is that there isn't one. So you don't really need one. And like I said earlier, it kind of seems to be a thing about modern game books. So the adventure sheet is either minimal or non-existent. So yeah, no adventure sheet. You don't really need one. Like I say, you just need a piece of paper to map, if that's your thing, and maybe make a note of those code words. Right, artwork for this game book. Now, for the cover, which is here, we have Oscar Smethurst. So he's a digital creator, photographer, and videographer based in Melbourne, Australia. He is the founder of Ridge Media, so that's a production company specialising in cinematic brand videos, event coverage, and commercially photography. So internally, we've got Leigh Chalker, and he's the illustrator for the 13th Vessel. He's got that kind of comic artist feel about it. Also based in Townsville, and he's best known for a series, Battle for Bustle. So check that out if you like the look of this artwork. So Leigh's sort of stylised, expressive, surreal images make this a great choice of game book. It suits him to illustrate this Threshold Trilogy. There are a few images, not too many, but enough to give you a kind of a subtle nightmarish feel to the buildings and the characters and the events that are all kind of dripping with this kind of horrible atmosphere and intrigue. So there's enough in there to sort of go by. And as always, I have got a favourite picture, which is this one here. So I'll read the reference that goes with it, just to give you an idea about what is going on. But this image, yeah, you've obviously got the penitentiary in the bottom there with the rocks, and it kind of feels like the overlook from The Shining. And then, of course, in the background, you've got the clouds which kind of make up this hellish skull that's looking out over the building, and it's just epic. So this is what it says here. Greystone Penitentiary is one of the city's oldest buildings and perched atop Gallows Hill. It's clearly visible from the city. You drive north through the early morning darkness. The city is all empty streets and dark windows. It's just you and the emergency vehicles, distant sirens. Gallows Hill rises ahead, the prison a dark mass on the summit. And as you climb the switchback road, dawn begins to break behind you, the sky going from black to deep blue. The gate guard is expecting you. When he sees your OTS badge, he waves you through with a nervous look. The parking lot has 3 police cars, lights still flashing, an ambulance, a medical examiner's van. Too many people, but Hassan bought out time. The scene is being held until you arrive. You can see cell block B from here. It's the old wing, stone instead of concrete, built into the hill itself in 1924. You're crossing the lot when a Greystone cop intercepts you. You from OTS? We've been told to wait. But the scene is fucked up. I've got a body hanging in midair with nothing holding it. And my crime scene text won't go back in. They're saying the angles are wrong, whatever that means. I'll handle it, you say. So, yeah, you get like a really deep sense of foreboding. And another thing about modern game books is, of course, having grown up with fighting fantasy, lone wolf, there was never any bad language. But I guess it's just like another modern thing, isn't it now? You do find it in some of the adult books, that are written for adults. So yeah, you would expect it in that kind of situation anyway. It's not going to be old diddums, is it? But I quite like that, actually. It's just another step up. So well done, Mr. Sean Cooper. Right, so my likes and dislikes for the 13th Vessel. Now, I really enjoyed the experience of simply picking up this game book and reading the narrative without the added faff of rolling dice and having battles. There will always be a place for the more tabletop style game books, like the classic New Tokyo 2130 that I reviewed recently, which has more dice rolling card games and Rubik's Cube shenanigans than you can throw a stick at. But this one, it just feels right. It's quite a refreshing change as well. You could just immerse yourself and lose yourself in the story with this one. Let the narrative lead you instead of the dice gods. The prose is really rich. The narrative is strong. It kind of leads me to think that the author has some history with authority in some way. I could be wrong there. But from the description of the investigation techniques, it kind of suggests so. But let me know, Mr. Cooper, if you have any history with authority. I was quite surprised when I abruptly reached the final. Obviously, it's quite a big, chunky book. Kind of hints that there are multiple paths to victory. It's quite an open world book, so I'm already thinking about going back and finding those other paths. So I'll have to experience that at some point. The book difficulty is set quite low, so as not to be too tough to beat. This is the opening book, so it kind of gives you a taste for the world that's been created here without scaring you off. We'll leave that for the rest of the trilogy. So once you know what is required and how the author's mind works in terms of choices, you should not have too much trouble for this opener. Now I've got some fun facts. Sean Cooper lives in Townsville, Australia, and he's a comedian, actually, originally. And he wrote the self-made stand-up, Your Guide to Mastering Comedy and Life. So this trilogy kind of falls under the uncanny agency, which creates modern, contemporary, interactive game books. And it's based in North Queensland, Australia, as is the case of many new authors. This was inspired by that whole 1980s fighting fantasy, Way of the Tiger kind of craze that we all went through. including the Lone Wolf series. So I'm guessing a lot of these modern authors, they probably touched on all that good stuff back in the day. So Uncanny Agency gamebooks are written by adults for adults, like I mentioned, with a focus more on strategic choice, rather than dice rolling, random nature. So that's kind of removed from these books. I have it on good authority that the sequel is being written and that the author has already mapped out extensively the plot and already started a lot of the work. So watch this space. Right, let's give this book a summary and a score out of 10. Now, this game book is huge. It reads like a novel, more like a novel rather than a series of references. In some ways, the extensive description and expressive narrative is slightly unexpected, but quite welcome. Gone are the old short references, that were so common in those fighting fantasy books. They have been replaced with more intricate details and impressive portrayal of everything that is happening in the narrative. Some may argue there is too much detail, but for me, it's just another method of losing yourself in the story. Now, I was very curious about how this game book was going to play out. Having never read anything from Sean Cooper previously, I quickly found that the theme and style reminded me of two very old TV shows from the 90s. The first being The X-Files, remember Mulder and Scully, that kind of dark mystery, investigation into the occult and that end of world vibes. If you mix that with 24, remember Jack Bauer, so you've got that investigative technique, and of course he was an investigator. Was it CTU, counter-terrorist unit? Slightly different here, but that same kind of investigator head. And that limited amount of time, 24 hours, is what you get in this book too. So if you put those two together and stir them up in a big melted pot, you kind of get this book. Or that's kind of what I felt anyway. So yeah, two really great series came to mind as I was working my way through this game book. No time mechanic as such. Even though I mentioned 24 hours, there's no time mechanic, but it doesn't deter you from the feeling that the sense of time slipping away. As you get closer to the end, you're always reminded time is running out as you progress. So yeah, very good, really clever, smart. It's very clear that the author opted to not use the dice or statistics kind of driven game book, which is not an uncommon trait, like I said, in these modern game books. Sean Cooper had design reasons for this choice, feeling it kind of broke the immersion somewhat, to put the book aside and engage in dice rolling, mini games and whatnot for combat. I kind of agree, but like I said earlier, there will always be a place for that. I tend to sort of think that the fantasy genre, it kind of suited the fantasy genre, didn't it? But maybe not so much so for these horror game books that are creeping in. So it's clearly more important to the author to absorb you, the reader, rather than break it up with dice rolling. There are battles, but they are descriptive rather than stat-based or dice-based. And of course, it's so great to see new authors looking to add music, as an accompaniment to their game book. And in this book, you will discover that QR code, like I mentioned, linking to the soundtrack. Sean Cooper used to be a musician as well. So yeah, man of many talents. So he's provided this streaming playlist of music composed as a kind of listening companion. I did manage to get some news on the upcoming sequels. So after this book, The 13th Vessel, which kind of sets up the world nicely, taking place over that 24-hour period, we will eventually receive book 2. It's Geometry of the Abyss. The name of the missing occult tome, actually, from the first book. So a nice little tie in there. And then to finish the trilogy, we're going to get Unsound Methods. So something to look out for. But overall, this is an impressive attempt at game book writing. Really strong. The world feels quite fresh, quite original. And the style of writing kind of keeps your page turning as well, which is always a good thing. I finished this book and I found myself wanting more, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the trilogy. The last thing to say is a big well done, actually, and a thank you to Sean Cooper for sending me his book. Send me your next book when it's ready, if you want that. You don't have to, but yeah, that would be great. That would be much appreciated. So I'm going to give this a very high 7 out of 10 for the 13th Vessel. That was my review, and I hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but more importantly, put something in the comments. Have you read this book? Would you read it based on this review? Is it something you might be intrigued by? Check out the description as well for those links I mentioned. And the next book I'm going to review, hopefully, will be Geometry of the Abyss. Catch me in that review.